what even happened to video games, man? It's like, you look at game studios like Bethesda, BioWare, and they all look exactly the same. They give you this promised feature of trying to return to form with their game design, only to make their games just so much shit. Like, I remember when Starfield came out, everyone had this lingering feeling that Bethesda was gonna pull off like a 180 where they started implementing more hardcore RPG features, which they ended up making the game very similar to Fallout, where the RPG system just felt a little bit watered down. They said that they would return the old dialogue system, but honestly, the game doesn't really feel that impactful in terms of the choices that you make and the shit that you do. Same thing that goes to Dragon Age. I'm looking at all these Dragon Age gameplay, and a lot of the shit that I see is just the same old shit that you would expect with a AAA game studio that wants to play it very safe. They're trying to maximize all the things that are just butterflies and colors, saturated colors. It's like they don't want to appeal to some of the hardcore gamers, but they want to appeal to some of the more general players who are more easily accessible. They don't care about any of hardcore players. They don't care about any of the more devoted fans. I wonder if there's kind of a time dilation going on. Very weird, as if I'm talking like a sci-fi feature thing, but it just makes you wonder if there's anything preventing them from actually taking user feedback or examining the current industry for them to actually make changes to the game is designed, even if they are in mid-development, because I'm just guessing this is probably not the case. From someone who studies software engineering, someone who at least knows a little bit about how the life cycle works, it's usually bad practice to kind of go back and change the requirements. If they had some intention of changing the way that they were planning to design their games midway, I think they were just stuck with whatever that they proposed was going to be the least riskful. And I guess that's kind of what boils it down to at the end of the day, right? Whether you're creating a RPG game that's going to take years of development, there's going to be so much risk. And in order to mitigate a lot of the risks, you have only one type of audience that you can look towards to, which is the main player base, the majority basically. The people who play your game once, pick it up, and then they don't play it again. Excluding some of the more hardcore players, you create a game that's, if you can't appease anyone, it just doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, RPGs are the ones that are affected the most. They're the games that are going to be impacted because they're the most difficult to create, honestly. You can look at any other game, FPS games, immersive sims. Those games tend to be, I feel like, a lot more easier to create because they rely on this idea of creating a linear story. But when you add an element of RPG where there's a lot of customization, a lot of branching stories, there's a lot of things that you need to consider as well. And so that kind of sucks in terms of the games that we're playing. Will we ever revisit the time where video game development will return back to form? I don't think so. I think video games will, and the studios and the games that they create and all the things that make up a game will eventually just fucking die, honestly. We will never get a game as good as Baldur's Gate 3. Oh my god. It's like, you ask BioWare, the fucking studio that made Dragon Age Origins, to make another game that's similar to Dragon Age Origins. Maybe in a Dragon Age Origins Part 2. Because that's what the whole marketing for Dragon Age the Veilguard was supposed to be. Even before, when it was called Veilguard, it was called Dreadwolf, which was like a reference to, I think one of the characters was Solus or something like that. But and then instead of creating what you're supposed to create, Baldur's Gate 3, which is a better Dragon Age Origins clone in my opinion, you end up creating Veilguard, which is something that's seriously strayed away from what the original franchise was supposed to be. Literally the one thing that you shouldn't do in terms of making a sequel, they did, and they fucked it up. That's so funny, man. Like, how fucked do you have to be, honestly, to kind of make that decision? Kind of be like, you know what we need? We need a more watered down RPG system. Like, who the fuck really thought of that? Holy shit, just crazy, man. That's just insane. You look at Starfield, the Bethesda game designs, like the fucking Bethesda game designers. You know what we need? We need to return to form. We need Skyrim in space. And then the first thing they come up with, Starborn. What the fuck? They couldn't even think of another name. Yeah, I'll think of a better name than Starborn. Astral Bearer. There. I just made a better name for it rather than Starborn, because you literally just copied Dragonborn and you turned it into Starborn. What the fuck? Starfield. Oh my god. Starfield. How... You know what? I don't even want to talk about that. That's a whole video on its own. Again, I talk a lot of shit, right? But the reason why I talk a lot of shit is because I care about these games. These games are something that I hold dear and near to me. It's like watching it slowly just drown into water, and you can't really do anything, because if you yell, if you say anything, even a single word, they won't listen. So it doesn't even make sense to like give my full energy or whatever. Just let them die, honestly, is what I think. If they're not gonna listen, then they're not gonna listen. If they want to return to form and create another fucking game where the main character, well, I don't even know what Bethesda's creating Elder Scrolls 6, what the main character is gonna be, waterborne now, because he's sailing the ship of the Seven Seas or whatever in the Elder Scrolls series. I don't even know, man. It's gonna be like some weird shit. Here's the marketing for Elder Scrolls 6. I'm already gonna predict it, alright? Here it is. It's gonna be Skyrim, but it's gonna take place in water. I feel like at this point, Bethesda Games is just too scared of making any type of... Honestly, they just... Whatever they want to do, they don't want to scare away investors. That's what is gonna happen. So whatever idea that's not in the scope of scaring away the investors, I feel like they'll do. Then what's next for... But oh yeah. So for BioWare, you have Mass Effect series, which is another upcoming return to form franchise. And here's the marketing for when they eventually release more details about Mass Effect. It's gonna be, first of all, return to form. That's what they're gonna say. But you're gonna play a new main character. It's gonna take place within the Milky Way galaxy. This time, because Mass Effect wasn't really focused on any RPG systems, it was very light, but it wasn't really too heavy or anything. In this game, it's gonna have none. They're gonna water it down so much to the point where it's like, it's not even an RPG system anymore. It's like every time you level up, the game automatically chooses your fucking skills or whatever. That's what it's gonna be. And then you have like the weakest ass dialogues as well, where it's similar to Fallout 4. Hell, even similar to fucking Veilguard, where every choice is basically a different persona of your character. So you have like in Fallout 4, what was it? It was like 4 different choices. You have like the good guy response, the sarcastic response, the evil guy response, and the questionable guy response. But all of them don't have any impact on the actual dialogue or moving the actual course of the story. All of them it's just a different way of saying that one specific speech. That's it. That's gonna be the whole fucking game. There's no love for video games anymore. There's no love for RPGs. Literally the best RPG I played last year, I think, was freaking Baldur's Gate 3. I remember playing the Cyberpunk DLC. That was so good. Elden Ring DLC was also really good. Fucking hell. All these good RPGs. And it's like, why is it so difficult to just create a normal RPG? Like, why do you have to go through such a big length at just not giving us what we want and not listening to the players? Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else. Just wanted to rant. And yeah, that's pretty much it.